Calling the meeting to order. In accordance with LB 898, a copy of the open meetings law is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Welcome to the meeting of Monday, June 28th. Our first order of business as the Board of Equalization is to elect the chair, so I will open the floor for nominations.
I nominate James Michael Bowers as the chair.
Second.
Moved moved by Councilwoman Raybould, seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybould?
Yes.
Show?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-2.
Wait, what?
Oh no, I'm sorry. So
5-0, right?
5-0.
Who are these two people?
I'm sorry.
I want names.
Yeah, just because they're not here doesn't mean they.
So we're going to start with our Board of Equalization meeting, and then when we adjourn from that, then we'll get started with our traditional City Council business. The order of business for the Board of Equalization is as follows. Each year, the Lincoln City Council passes a number of improvement district ordinances. Today, we are here to equalize the assessments for several such districts. The College View Maintenance Business Improvement District, the Havelock Street Maintenance Business Improvement District, the North 27th Street Maintenance Business Improvement District, the South Street Maintenance Business Improvement District, the University Place Maintenance Business Improvement District, and the West O Street Maintenance Business Improvement District. The land described in each one of these districts are benefited by the improvements in the districts. The cost of these services are paid for by the city from its special assessment revolving fund. It is then necessary for the city to recoup its costs from the benefited properties and reimburse its revolving funds. These costs or assessments are computed by the Urban Development Department and presented to the city for its review when sitting as the Board of Equalization, as we are now. The clerk will read a description of each district individually from June 28th, 2021. And after the district is read, a representative from the Urban Development Department will come forward to make a brief statement about the district. Then anyone wishing to testify may come forward. We ask that if you do come forward, please state your name and sign the sheet at the podium. Please state your name and address before making your comments, and comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Clerk, will you please read the first item?
College View Maintenance Business Improvement District is generally extended from South 48th Street between Calvert Street and Pioneers Boulevard. Havelock Street Maintenance Business Improvement District generally extended from Havelock Avenue from Cornhusker Highway on the west to 64th Street on the east. North 27th Street Maintenance Business Improvement District generally extends from North 26th Street on the west to North 28th Street on the east, and from the center line of O Street on the north to Fair Street on the south, primarily including those properties abutting North 27th Street. South Maintenance Business Improvement District generally extends from South Street from the alley west of 9th Street east to 19th Street. University Place Maintenance Business Improvement District generally extends along North 48th Street from Colby Street on the south to the half block north of Adams Street on the north, and along St. Paul Avenue from North 47th Street to North 50th Street. And West O Street Maintenance Business Improvement District generally along West O Street from 3rd Street on the east to Homestead Expressway on the west, and including the property abutting the north and south sides of said West O Street right-of-way.
Are there any staff from Urban Development here? Oh.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development. Is it on? Okay. 555 South 10th Street. The proposed assessments for all districts are levied on an annual basis and are calculated on a linear front foot basis. They are based on expenditures for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. The districts were created by ordinance adopted by the City Council as follows. In 2002, the North 27th Street and University Place. In 2011, College View, Havelock Avenue, and South Street were adopted. And in 2016, the West O Street district was adopted. As a result of this year's notice, 3 phone calls were received. One phone call was from a property owner new to the district wanting to know if this was a bill and who to make the payment to, and they were informed that this was just a notice and it was approved, and if approved, would receive a notice from the county treasurer. One phone call was received from a property owner with a question regarding items listed in the assessment resolution, And Ron explained to them that the items listed in the assessment resolution were examples of eligible expenses. And the last phone call was from a property owner who raised concerns about the work being performed in front of their property. These concerns were relayed to a contractor to be investigated and addressed. And I answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin? Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to provide testimony on any of these items? Okay, seeing none, let's move into the voting session.
We can vote on all 6 districts.
Do you need a motion, Madam Clerk?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of these assessment districts.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Shob, seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. Now that we've completed that business, I would ask for a motion to adjourn, sign, die.
I move we adjourn, sine die.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Raybold, seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Washington,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Now we're going to move into the city council meeting. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of June 28th, 2021. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves. Please identify a name or an organization if you're representing one, an address, and if you are representing someone else. This address requirement could be waived to protect the security of an individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, and organization or group, and testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, which is today, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please call the first item of business?
For our first announcement, due to the 4th of July holiday, City Council will not meet on Monday, July 5th, 2021. And our first item on our agenda is our consent agenda, sections 1 and 2.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on item 1 or 2?
Chairman Bowers, members of the council, David Young, 555 South 10th Street. I'm here representing the Finance Department tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm speaking on behalf of item 1C, the appointment of J Biermann to the Pinnacle Bank Arena Advisory Commission. I'd like to just say a very few words and then introduce Mr. Biermann himself. Mr. Biermann has over 50 years of public service in the state of Nebraska. A very few of his highlights: 26 years with the Nebraska Army National Guard and U.S. Army Reserve. He retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Judge Advocate General's Corps. He also did 30 years of service with the Nebraska Office of Secretary of State, including 24 years as the elected Secretary of State. He also did 25 years as the executive director of the Nebraska Press Association. Candidly, I have 9 more pages of accolades for Mr. Biermann, and I thought I would just leave a few words for him to say for himself. Thank you. very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, David. Honorable members of the City Council. My name is Alan J Biermann. I live at 4730 A Street, Lincoln, Nebraska, where I've been a resident citizen for 56 years of the capital city. I'm very proud of that. I've had the opportunity over the years to serve federal government, state government, county government, and now the opportunity arose for me to give back to the city in serving city government. And so I made application to this position. I'm a frequent user of Pinnacle Bank Arena. I've known Tom Loren since his first day in Lincoln, and I know many of the staff members over there. And I've attended all kinds of events, from sporting activities to shows, and of course, the Pinnacle Bank Arena did itself proud during the vaccination period when they hosted those clinics. My interest in serving is to bring a broader perspective statewide to the miracle of Pinnacle Bank Arena. It is a pearl in our city, along with the Capitol. In fact, the arena serves more people than the Capitol does from day to day. So I'm hoping that with my experience throughout the state of Nebraska, the people I know, the organizations I work with, I can always be in a position to sell and to make sure that people are aware of Pinnacle Bank Arena, what it offers, how it can be accessed, what they can enjoy, and that they will be well taken care of there from an enjoyment standpoint as well as a safety standpoint. So that's my interest in serving the city. I hope that you will find it within your heart to confirm me, and I would be delighted to yield to the council for any questions.
Are there any questions at this time? No. Councilman Raybold?
Well, I just want to thank our amazing Secretary of State, Mr. Biermann, for all your years of service. So I think you've come full circle. So we are really, we are truly very lucky to have your expertise in guiding the Pinnacle Bank Arena to further successes. So
Well,
thank you.
I've had the good luck to raise my family here. Lincoln's been very good to me, and this is my chance finally to give back.
Any further questions or comments at this time? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your courtesy.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Randy Jones, Director of Aging Partners, located at 1005 O Street, and I'm here to speak to item 1B on the agenda. It is my pleasure to introduce Maysoon Shaheen as a proposed member of the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council. She would be attending that group representing Lincoln and Lancaster County. Maysoon is currently an interpreter and has assisted Aging Partners through her employer with client interactions. She has also been a teacher in English as a second language program and a doctoral student in education. We are very excited to propose her membership because she is willing to help us in reaching a broader, more diverse aging population. Maysoon.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited and so honored to be here. To listen, to share stories, and to speak up, and to serve our community. I think God has blessed me with a deeper understanding since I came to Lincoln 21 years ago as a refugee, and now I'm a U.S. citizen. I helped so many Arab seniors and their caregivers to interact with their doctors and counselors and psychiatrists and social workers at Aging Partners. I feel like I can help and support them to engage with the community, to bridging the gap. They feel like they are isolated and depressed sometimes because the lack of the cultural activities they have here in town. But I'm sure that we have great resources in Lincoln but we need to get all the information to them and we get them to the community so that we can support them. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or comments at this time?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on items 1 or 2 at this time? Okay, seeing none, let's move on.
We can vote on our consent items. Item 1A is reappointing Benny Shobe to the Telecommunications Cable Television Advisory Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2024, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion?
Can I second my own motion? Would that have been? On the point? No, keep.
May we please do a roll call vote?
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobe,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Yay.
Item 1B is appointing Maysoon Shaheen to the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2024, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Shobe,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 1C is appointing Alan Biermann to the Pinnacle Bank Arena Advisory Committee for a term to expire April 16th, 2026, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Shobe,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 1D is approving the City of Lincoln's investment activity report from the city treasurer for quarter ending May 31st, 2021, introduced by Shobe.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Washington,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobe,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 2A and 2B was introduced by Shobe.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobe,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right, let's move on to item 4.
Our next section is Section 4, Liquor Resolutions. I'll be calling items 4A and 4B together. Application of Blush Bridal Boutique LLC, doing business as Blush Bridal Boutique for a Class I liquor license located at 5505 South 16th Street, Suite 300, and the related manager application of Emily Gorman.
Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, let's move on.
I'll be calling items 4C through 4H together. Application of Legacy Estates LP LLC, doing business as Legacy Estates for a Class CK liquor license located at 7200 Van Dorn Street, and the related manager application of Gregory C. Joyce. Also, the Legacy Limited Partnership LTD, doing business as the Legacy for Class CK liquor license located at 5600 Pioneers Boulevard, with the related manager application of Gregory C. Joyce. And Legacy Terrace LP LLC, doing business as Legacy Terrace for a Class CK liquor license located at 5700 Fremont Street, and the related manager application of Mr. Gregory C. Joyce. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm that you're telling the truth as you really believe it to be?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim O'Neill. I'm with O'Neill Heinrich Law Firm. That's 800 Lincoln Square, 121 South 13th Street. And I'm here on behalf of the Legacy and Greg Joyce. I think most of you know the Legacy senior facilities in the community and how outstanding of properties and operations they are. And I won't belabor the point. We're just offering another amenity to the residents, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions at this time by the council? Councilwoman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. O'Neill, I just had one curiosity question. As I was reading through all the applications and I noticed you were looking for a CK license, I was curious what the on and off sale, do you expect to do a lot of off sale?
No.
Okay.
And really that's really me that added that extra licensing. It's probably a little overprotective, to be honest with you, but there's an opportunity, I think, for people to buy a bottle of wine and go back to their room. or maybe their son or daughter buy a bottle of wine, they take it back, but they don't drink it, so they take it out of the facility. So technically, that would be an off-sale operation, and so we're not looking for that sort of operations. It's more of a overly protection of making sure somebody doesn't violate the law.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on.
I'll be calling items 4I and 4J together. Application of HLI Development LLC doing business as Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Lincoln Downtown, for a Class I liquor license located at 905 O Street, and the related manager application of John E. Klimple.
Hi, I'm John Klimple.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you really believe it to be?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
You want my address? Yes. My home address, 5940 South 114th Street. I live in Lincoln. I mean, outside of Lincoln, but I pay my Lincoln taxes. But we're excited to open up the new hotel down the street here, hopefully in July. Sorry, I'm kind of casual. I've been down there working, so I just came to see if you had any questions. This is my 7th liquor license in the state of Nebraska.
Are there any questions at this time? Councilman Washington?
Mr. Klimple, this is your opportunity to tell us a little bit more about your new project.
Oh, well, I think you know it well, right? It's a Holiday Inn Express and Suites, 139 rooms, and we're excited. We sold out Garth Brooks in 90 minutes, the same as he did. It was amazing. We're sold out Friday and Saturday night both, so we're excited. So that was a great thing that the university did, and they plan on doing more, they said, to help the city and the community recover from this virus. So yeah, but we have small meeting space, a lot of lobby space. It's going to be nice. It's a beautiful view from the street, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And when is opening day?
that's a good question. Sometime in July, I promise. Sometime in July.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we're working hard at it. So do I need to hang around then for the vote, or? Okay, I got a baseball son, so. Anyway, all right.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, let's move on.
Item 4K is manager application of Leah R. Dietrich for Tailwind LNK LLC, doing business as Tailwind LNK located at 2400 Adams Street.
Hi, my name is Leah Dietrich. I am new restaurant manager at Tailwind, which is located at the airport.
Are there any questions?
No.
Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on item 4K? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into the voting session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt, accept, approve items 4A through 4K.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Shope, seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any further discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Shob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay. We'll move on to section 5 is our public hearing resolutions. I'll be calling items 5A and 5B together. Miscellaneous 21004, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Belmont Neighborhood Redevelopment Area generally located from Superior Street on the north, I-180 on the west, Sun Valley Boulevard, and Cornhusker Highway on the south, and North 27th Street on the east as blighted and substandard, and the related miscellaneous 21005, application of the Urban Development Director to declare the Belmont area generally located from Superior Street on the north, I-180 on the west, Sun Valley Boulevard and Cornhusker Highway on the south, and North 27th Street on the east as extremely blighted as set forth in the Extremely Blighted Determination Study for the City of Lincoln, Nebraska, dated January 2021.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. Thank you for having me here today. I think we've got good news for some homeowners. I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about what is before you and what it isn't, and then talk about what it is. Typically, when people hear the word blight or extremely blight, what the thought that comes to their mind is that we're talking about tax increment financing. We're talking about TIF. And that is correct in a lot of different cases, but you would need a third item on your agenda, and that would be a redevelopment plan for these areas, both this area and Northwest 48th Street. And I'm going to confine my comments to Belmont first, but they apply to both of them. You would need that third element in both, and that's not what we have before you. It's not that we won't work on that at some point in the future, but our goal here was to address the issues that are unique with blight and extreme blight. And what it affords is a person to be able, if you buy a home and intend to live in it, it affords you to be able to fill out a Form 1040N EB, which I suppose the EB stands for extreme blight. And if you look at the page 2 of the instructions of that, what you'll see are some highlighted areas. You have to be buying in an extreme blight area. You have to agree to own and live in that area. And if you own and live in that area, you're eligible for a $5,000 tax credit. And it doesn't have to be used up in year one. It can be used up over a number of years. And the eligible period on this runs until January 1st, 2026. So if you buy into the Belmont neighborhood and you live in that neighborhood, you would be eligible for a tax credit on that home that would come from the state of Nebraska. What's the origin of this? There was a bill passed in 2019 called LB 86. LB 86 provided the provisions for owner-occupied residents buying in extremely blighted areas, these particular provisions. Have other communities done this? Article from the Omaha World Herald, Omaha has declared areas within their districts extremely blighted so that residents can get access to a $5,000 tax credit. This body, in January of last year, also took and declared extremely blighted to a number of different areas throughout Lincoln, and the areas that we used were areas that had been previously blighted. What we tried to do that was new here was to look at areas that met the state statute of extremely blight and blight and try to overlay those over areas where homeowners would be able to take advantage of this tax credit. And we're all familiar with Meadow Lane. We took Meadow Lane before you. That didn't really involve any homes. And typically what has happened on a number of the blight projects that we've done in Lincoln, it's really been more for commercial properties or the downtown area, because prior to this tax credit, that the TIF element of this has been the element that developers have been wanting to obtain, and the homeowner's credit really was not something that was available. I'll show you one last thing because I'm getting wordy here. This is a picture. It's 1,000 words. I went to the Nebraska Historical Society. They had an exhibit on evictions last fall. And on the wall they had 100 doorknobs. And I looked at that and I thought, why do they have 100 doorknobs on there? And 37 of them were a different color. And the 37 represent, in 2016, the percentage of homes that were purchased by investors, and there are 63 that would have been owner-occupied. So what we've been seeing happen over the last many years here is that all cash buyers have been able to go in and purchase a home, and that home then can become a rental. Nothing wrong with that, but I think what the legislature was looking at was, is there a counterbalance that we can do against that? Are there things that we might be able to employ and they came up with the plan for doing a $5,000 tax credit. So homes that now would be purchased up in the Belmont area would be homes that would be in an extremely blighted area, and a home buyer moving into that neighborhood, thinking about where they'd want to be able to go, would be able to take advantage of that and then be able to get a credit. That's the primary reason we brought this forward. It took us a while to get here. We started doing this after this body approved this in January. We thought, well, really a lot of the areas that overlap with blight are really not driven for homeowners, and they're not really driven to take advantage of this. So Kurt Elder in our office and Win Armstead, we started trying to figure out where would be the areas that this could apply, and we came up with Belmont as a really good neighborhood to be able to incentivize home ownership. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Please keep your comments directed to the council.
I will.
Thank you.
Now listen, little boy, with the initials, you want to be a senator, don't you? I have initials, USSD. Do you understand what that means? United States State Department. I retired from it. Young lady, my brother said that you sent him a text message. That's why you don't ever get a text message from me when I called. I leave a voicemail. I talk because I deal with 2-year-olds. Okay, I am, let's see, who am I married to? I am Terry Ray Pope Gonzalez, and I own the homestead of the Gonzalez family. And the Gonzalez family is the founding family over there. You know what blighted means? It means neglect, okay? That's what it means. Now, when ours become blighted, did they have the 5,000? Hey, how come I haven't got a credit? Which problem? Can't you grandfather me in? Now, see, he was on the city council way back when. He also wanted to become senator. Not on my watch. Kobe Koash became senator. You know who's senator now? Anna Wishart. Now, you're an initial, right? I read it in the paper. I don't know why I need to know what you guys are, okay? I am married to Martin Joe Gonzalez, graduated at Lincoln High, 1971. Now, I'm not one of you. You know how you know? The minute I open my mouth. I'm an inner, I hear you talking shit about me again, okay? You want to talk smack to me? You talk it in front of everybody, okay? Now here's who I am. I'm an inner city kid, Denver, Colorado, white trash, right? Yeah. I grew up 3 blocks from Denver Bears Stadium, so you and I are the same age, aren't we? And I don't shop your stores because they smell like maggots, okay? Now, I don't appreciate what you've done. Now, you guys, I appreciate you very much. And you, young lady, the little kids that I deal with are 2 and 3 years old. Somebody from polite society at a Catholic church said anybody who's bald has syphilis. So I had to tell them that you don't have syphilis. Why would a 2, 3, and 4-year-old even know syphilis? Would you like to know what they said to me? The governor has a syphilis because he's bald-headed. Wow. Now, why do little kids need to know those words? Here's what happened to my area. My neighborhood association is South Salt Creek Area Neighborhood Association. And half my people are called white chocolate. I didn't get to come to Juneteenth. You know when my birthday is? Juneteenth. I just became a federal holiday. I didn't get to come. I was born on Father's Day, June 19th, Denver, Colorado. You know when I got here? When I retired from running the RICO Act, USSD, United States State Department. So I think my initials outrank your initials. All right, now here's when I retired. Friday, May 3rd, 1996. I was bringing Martin Joe Gonzalez back. And on your internet, I don't internet. I don't have time. I'm too busy. What? Because 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds should not know the things they know. Here, the blighted area in my area. Let me read this. Search turns up 33 pounds of meth. Wow! 3 houses from me. Across the street from a daycare. A toddler daycare. Next door to toddlers. So you know what? I'm the wrong color. Wow! So here, Raybold. I'm Mexican, right? No, I'm biker trash. So you guys need to stop discriminating against me. And you little boy, if you want to run for senator, you make sure you put your big boy pants on. Because the North Platte senator, he's related to me, okay? and we are old, and we are sick and blankety blank blank blank. I promised everybody I wouldn't cuss, because I got 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds watching the city council. Now, in Kansas, you know anything about Kansas? Before we graduate high school, and I didn't graduate from Kansas, but Goodland, Kansas, you get there, you spit on every one of my relatives, and Brooke Behringer wasn't one of my relatives, okay? Now, we start, what? Okay, tell me how much time, come on.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. Now, we start doing for governor before we graduate high school, okay? So, now listen, thank you for you guys. You're finally got a moral compass on this, and it's not you, okay? Because in 2015, you could have done what? My dog is hurt because you didn't do the right thing. Now, when my vet, she charges $150 an hour. You best, and I don't care if you call it TIF or pay out of your own pocket. $52,000 you did TIF for your stores. So this is a scam. I gotta write this? Gotta write my name? Okay, now, I'm writing my name, okay? Now, I am allergic to anhydrous, so I don't like to be around meth heads. You asked me to, and I didn't vote for any of you because you didn't come ask me. You can't just mail me something or call me. I don't watch TV. I'm too busy playing David and Goliath with the little babies. You guys know my address? You should know it by heart. Am I done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 349 South 1st Street, come by. And thank you, young lady. I really appreciate you. There's 2 people gone, right? Tammy Ward and the other white boy? Okay. And I'm not leaving, I got more to say.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item of business, please.
I'll be calling items 5C and 5D together. Miscellaneous 21006, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Northwest 48th Street redevelopment area generally bounded by Fletcher Avenue on the northwest 57th Street on the west, Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street on the east as blighted and substandard, and the related miscellaneous 21007, application of Urban Development Director to declare the Northwest 48th Street area bounded by Fletcher Avenue on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street on the east as extremely blighted as set forth in the extremely blighted determination study for the city of Lincoln, Nebraska, dated January 2021.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. I won't repeat what I just said, but I will try to catch you up to date on Northwest 48th Street and the issues that have come up in regards to concerns either from Arnold Heights residents or from 9 Mile Prairie. First, I'll show you 2 different maps, just to kind of, these are all the areas that the city of Lincoln has declared as blighted areas, and then this particular map shows the areas that met the qualifications that were approved by this body in January of 2020 that met the qualifications of extreme blight. So really, the areas up north that are that were blighted with the goal of trying to attract development along the interstate and businesses there, that was left out. But we've tried to include areas that are extremely blighted where residents live. But the challenge we had was that this particular area was never declared as blighted, would have met the standards of extreme blight, and this area in Arnold Heights also met those qualifications as well. When we proposed that to the Planning Commission, there was a public hearing on that. It was advertised, it was in the newspaper, and there were some groups that had contacted Councilperson Ward and said, you know, we're in conversations with the Lincoln and Lancaster County Planning Commission. We want to talk about the 2050 comp plan. We've got concerns about blight and extreme blight in this and how it might incentivize and impact 9 Mile Prairie. So in an effort to work with those groups We thought we could redraw the boundaries and take it farther south and not involve those impacted areas. But, you know, if you do one thing, you know, then there are other groups that are concerned, and there are people that would like to be able to do affordable housing. And the blight designation in that particular case, and extreme blight, would have some opportunities on the affordable housing side. So we were caught between a rock and a hard place, and I'm sorry we didn't get these issues worked out prior to today. And I think there is going to be some discussions at your voting session as what the most appropriate course of action should be. I'll stop there and take any questions that you'd like.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin? Councilman Washington?
Thank you for recognizing my inhale was a number of questions. And Mr. Marvin, some of my questions I know we've talked about, but I just want them for the record.
Sure.
So you described the situation we're in quite well. And I think Councilwoman Ward has done a good job in responding to her constituents who had concerns about 9 Mile Prairie. But you're right, we heard from other folks about the project. And so I would like you to explain something I heard about at the end of last week. So I heard that there was an agreement called the Huskerville Agreement that's really was a three-way agreement between the City of Lincoln, LPS, and the Airport Authority to take some of this ground here and rezone it for residential development. And it is in the area that was originally designated or proposed to be blighted, and then it came out of the area when the boundaries were redrawn. So we have before us a proposal to not declare it blighted. But can you explain a little bit? I know that
Sure.
we're going back to 2007, so if you just bring us all up to speed.
Okay, so Huskerville is a reference to, if we know our Lincoln Airport Authority information, it was referenced back to the 40s, maybe into the 50s, of an area of Lincoln, I believe. The historians can correct me on that. And this particular agreement came about either in 2006 or 2007, and that agreement identified various outlots, or on the original plat they were called tracts. And those tracts then, within that agreement, the agreement was that one tract would be zoned R5 and one tract would be zoned R3. As it pertains to what's before you, the thought process from the airport was, you know, in R3, that's typical single-family homes that would be built. Is there an opportunity here to leave that area in, since it's going to be R3 zoned anyway? And what I reminded their attorney was that the expiration of the sunset on this particular tax credit is December 31st, 2025, and I wasn't sure realistically whether it would be extended or how much longer that would be available. So that was kind of the point of that particular conversation. But the validity from the city's perspective on Huskerville and what that has tied the city's hands to, I haven't talked to the city's law department to be able to say one way or the other on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's, for me, it's important to understand if we had a promise to do some development. And I understand the tax credit runs out, but if we were to designate it as blighted or extreme blighted, there would still be the opportunity for TIF to be used in that area, regardless of the tax credit.
That's correct.
Okay, and then. And it looked like in that agreement there was also another outlot A that was also set aside as to be conserved or to be protected for conservation values. And I think that's north of Cummings as well. So I think a couple of small changes might be able to make the map accurate with Huskerville. But I do appreciate that you need to talk to the law department. And so I am leaning toward asking for something which I won't ask for right now because we're not in the voting session.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Councilwoman Raybold?
I have a question. So in order to qualify for a TIF, you have to declare that area blighted or extremely blighted, right?
To qualify for TIF, it needs to be blighted.
Blighted.
And then
For the tax credit, it has to be extremely
for
blighted.
the tax credit, it needs to be extremely blighted. And then there's a third, to be able to actually access that, we would need to bring to you, much like we did for south of downtown, we bring to you a redevelopment plan for that particular area that talks about how we'll address those issues of blight. And then when we bring in a project, that's why we're always doing plan amendments. When we bring in a project, that particular subset for that particular redevelopment plan is an amendment to that particular redevelopment plan. We don't have a redevelopment plan before you here today, so consequently, we are not, what's available and could be approved is not something that would be eligible for tax increment financing at the moment. We would have to bring to you at a later date a redevelopment plan that we would discuss, and this body would then vote to either approve or deny that redevelopment plan.
So if there's a redevelopment proposed, is it unusual for them not to request the tax increment financing down their line if there's a redevelopment proposal brought to you for this certain parcel of ground? Have there been any cases where someone hasn't applied for the tax increment financing?
Well, if it's R3 property, I think typically we don't do individual TIF projects on R3 property. They're homes. There may be something that could be done in the legislature at some point in the future that would involve micro TIF or that sort of thing, but that's really not been the case and not been the history of how we've used tax increment financing is on residential homes. So the R3 area that is the area that would be abutting Arnold School to the west, hard to say what would happen on that in terms of tax increment financing. The other outlot is the one that's across Cummings Street. It's directly to the north. It's a smaller area. It's zoned R5. And in that particular case, we don't have a project, genuinely don't have a project that's been brought to us. But in that particular case, if it was affordable housing, I think we'd have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Could I ask one more?
Yeah, Councilwoman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If an area is designated blight or extreme blight, does that inhibit conservation, preservation, or protections?
When we had those conversations with representatives of the 9 Mile Prairie, was my sincere belief is that through the redevelopment plan process, we've created additional hurdles and more scrutiny and review. So my answer is no, I don't think it makes it less restrictive. I think that there's opportunities to accomplish some of the goals of the 9 Mile Prairie, but I don't believe that opinion of mine is universally shared.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the council at this time? Okay. Seeing none, thanks so much. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item?
Thank you. My name is Fred Hoppy. I live at 1600 Stony Hill Road, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm here to really speak in favor of, and I'm not sure which territory we're talking about exactly, but I develop affordable housing. One of the problems with affordable housing in Lincoln is we don't have sites. We just don't have good sites to put together projects that can bring forward housing, and particularly housing for low income. Low income meaning 60% median income people and below. Low income housing tax credit projects. When you build low income tax credit projects, you build with a gap. you can finance so much with the tax credits, but there's a gap that's left that needs to be funded. We normally fund that with tax increment financing, and that's one of the classic ways. That's pointed out in the Lincoln's Affordable Housing Plan. So to use TIF, you have to use it in a blighted and substandard area. Whether it's dirt or whether it's renovation, it's got to be in a blighted area. If it's also declared extremely blighted, that you can use 20-year TIF instead of 15-year TIF, which generates more funding to close more gap. Okay, so why am I here on this specifically? Because a couple months ago, my son and I it was brought to our attention that this blight study was going forward. And in the blight study, there were 2 parcels that were already zoned and owned by the Lincoln Airport Authority that could be potential sites for affordable housing. Those 2 sites, one is about a 17-acre site, and I think it's called Parcel 2 in the Huskerville agreement, but it's called Parcel C in the zoning now that is in place. And another one that's called Parcel E, which is about a 3.5-acre parcel. Parcel 2, Parcel C, same thing, is zoned R3 currently. Parcel E, Parcel 3, in the Huskerville agreement, is zoned R5. We've looked at these 2 parcels and believe that both parcels would be a parcel. E would be extremely hot prospect for 40-unit low-income housing tax credit development on that 3.5 acres. The 17-acre parcel, C, we thought would have potential for doing a bond deal, which could produce 100 units of affordable housing. In addition, put in single family in a mix in that 17-acre neighborhood. So it looked pretty good to us, and we started talking to the Lincoln Airport Authority, who owns it, who controls it. It's actually owned by the city of Lincoln, the title's in the city of Lincoln. The Airport Authority is here, and they'll, I'm sure, come up and speak as well. But for affordable housing, if it's not, it won't work unless it's blighted, because we got to close the gap. Because it's zoned R3 and R5 in those 2 parcels, they're ultimately, well, first of all, they're being through the process right now, which I think Bill Austin will tell you. They're looking at declaring these 2 parcels surplus and putting them on the market by year end. Because we want to use those parcels for affordable housing. If it's not in the blighted area, we're not going to be able to. It'll sell for housing, so regardless, because it's already zoning for it. But if it's blighted, we can use it for affordable housing. We got the tools all there. So that's my pitch. We want those 2 parcels in whatever's declared blighted. Now, I'm not sure what the boundaries are right now, but when it comes down to the table and you're voting, I'm hoping they're in it. And I would like, so we could get this all set up straight, it would be great if you would not vote tonight, because it doesn't seem like, we don't know what we're voting on. That's the problem. And I think my beeper went off, and I would certainly yield and answer any questions you may have on this. I've talked to Tammy about it, and and I think she's okay with the delay. So,
Are there any questions for Mr. Hoppy?
Not at this time.
Thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you.
Who else would like to speak on this item?
How come you didn't tell him his 5 minutes was up? He's supposed to be fair to everybody.
Well, the first beep was the 4-minute, and then when he took questions was when the 5-minute beep
But see,
went.
sometimes I can't hear. That's why I need you to tell me, okay? Now, somebody asked if TIF was ever not gotten. Yes, it actually has been. See, when we were blighted in our area, just so you understand, 1983, you know the judge that's dead, okay? Her and, John Camp, yeah, came in, and Woody Brinkman owned it. It was open fields. The kids got to play over there. Now, so they rezoned it, commercial, okay? Now, I am still zoned residential. So is Mrs. Hernandez, so is Mrs. Rodriguez, so are the Martinezes. Wow, and I'm a Gonzalez. Now, am I Mexican? No, I'm not. I own Gambino Stables. You know what that is? Now, you don't know, because you know how I know? You've never been to my house to ask for a donation, okay? Now, everybody thought we was poor. When I got here, my house, 349 South First Street, and do you know we're not even homestead exemption? See, my husband could have. How many years ago? He's born here April 3rd, 1953. Because, see, he doesn't know how to beg. Now he knows how to build STRATCOM, Strategic Air Command, and now he's hurt. Now, somebody decided it was okay to put a concrete company 50 feet from residential homes. Ain't that something? And you know how they applied it? Oh, we're going to do low-income housing. Really? Now, things are going to change, aren't they, in my neighborhood? You damn straight they are. Because, see, I'm already talking to the man who's going to do the liability on that train tunnel. Now, I pass out because I'm allergic to anhydrous. So, you know, when I turned around that day that you started trying to get after me, I was going into anaphylactic shock because somebody in this in here was on meth because I'm allergic to it. So, yes, Tony Delgado, Tony Cement Works, didn't apply for TIF. You know who told me that? Even put it in writing, Dave Landis. Remember Dave Landis, right? Urban Development, right, Director? So now listen, I'm getting really tired of coming back here because, see, when I expect the people on that side, I don't need you. You need us, okay? Now, I founded my neighborhood association. I fund it. I am not C3P whatever, okay? Now, if the developers need to do something, then guess what? Get it out of their pocket. Just like you. You could have handled your own TIF. You didn't need to apply for TIF. You're supposed to be the rich person, aren't you? Right? Now, I don't like you talking smack about me. You want to talk to me? Here we are. You talk, okay? But you stop talking behind my back. And you, young man, you have been in planning 30 years? So you know exactly what's been going on over there. You know how long I've been coming up here? Since the Lady Johnson, you know, the one who stole the fair. I've been coming here for a very long time. And you know who let me talk the most? Mr. Shoecraft, you guys' color, right? Right? Did you know Mr. Shoecraft? What a nice man. He was the wrong color, though, wasn't he? Isn't that sad? He was a good man. Do you realize what he'd have got accomplished all these years? You know who was my first city council person? Do you know? Jonathan Cook. And then Carl Eskridge. And now Tammy Ward. Wow. Now I'm sick and tired. And the wrongful death lawsuits, there's 12 deaths now contributed. Yeah. And TCW Construction going to federal prison, aren't they? You damn straight they are. And anybody else who knew about it is, because you poisoned us. Now I don't appreciate it at all. And half the time I can't see you and I can't hear you. Because when I went in front of John Carlson on the planning committee, when whoever David Hunter's wife was, you remember David Hunter killed himself, all that trash? Her name was Linda something Hunter. So I've been doing this for a very long time. So is that my time?
You have one more minute.
Okay. So now listen, I can come here every single time because it doesn't bother me because you can't pay back what you stole from me. Okay? I won my lawsuits and all the appeals 3 years ago. So you know the hazmat cleanup for TCW Construction? What's the total cost of that? You guys know? Now, Jane Raybold knows. She was here. So now listen, I really appreciate you guys. And you too, young man, okay? Like I said, finally, we have moral compass on this council, don't we? And I'm not including you. Oh, do I got to sign again? Terry Pope Gonzalez, Pope-Gonzalez, 349 South First Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. Why don't you come by? Why don't you see what you did to my neighborhood? And my dog is hurt. You understand that, right?
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item?
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. President. I'm David Herring. I'm the executive director of the Lincoln Airport Authority. I don't want to take up too much time this evening. I know that all of you received my letter from earlier today, so I just want to basically clarify a few items in that for the record. There's really a couple of concerns that we have regarding the process and then some specific ones on the amendment. Regarding the process, we were a little concerned that the communication with the airport was really non-existent. That happens from time to time. We fully understand that. We actually have to run through the public notice process as well, and we've missed notifying everybody. But I think one of the things that I would ask your consideration on tonight is this is obviously a fairly large issue with a lot of moving pieces, and we have not had what we believe to be a sufficient amount of time to fully examine, research, and then comment appropriately on impacts one way or the other for the airport. And certainly when notifications like that are missed, that seems to be a prudent action would be to allow that time just for us to be able to move through that process. Both on the original motion dealing with the blighted study as well as the amendment. I do want to touch on a couple of things with the amendment that were perplexing to me. One of the things that I noted is that in all of the documentation that I was reviewing about the motion to amend, there was not a specific reason given on why the amendment was being done. It just basically said removing airport tracks. I would really like to know when something like that is put forth, I would really like to know why exactly specific tracks in a study are being singled out, especially when they're airport tracks and being removed. I didn't see that anywhere. I could have just missed it, but I'd be really interested to know what those were. We've kind of heard anecdotally what that was, and Mr. Marvin discussed that a little bit tonight, dealing with 9 Mile Prairie. So we took it upon ourselves to actually reach out to representatives of 9 Mile Prairie, and they have indicated to us that they have not raised any concerns whatsoever about the designation of airport properties or requested any removal of those from any study. So what we suspect might be happening is there might be a little bit of confusion going on between 9 Mile Prairie and residents or others that are interested in preserving the prairie but not directly affiliated with 9 Mile Prairie. It seems like these actions are being requested by those not authorized to speak on behalf of either the airport, 9 Mile Prairie, or the UNL Foundation. And so I think that distinction needs to be made. One of the reasons that we are so interested in it is because when we're portraying that these areas potentially need to be buffer zones for the prairie, it's important to note that the tracks that we're referencing are half a mile away from the closest point of 9 Mile Prairie with land in between. And so we're not talking about adjacent ground. We're not talking about things that are right there that really, constitute what I would consider a buffer. So I think these are all things that we need to investigate over the a period of time. And so I would ask tonight that you do consider a postponement of this action. If not that, we certainly are against the amendment, and so I would urge rejection of the amendment. But it seems to me to be the more prudent action would be the postponement of the action as a whole to allow all of this data to be collected. If you have any additional questions, by the way, on the Huskerville agreement that Ms. Washington brought up, Mr. Austin is here this evening and was keenly part of that. I was not here, so I cannot speak to that whatsoever. He has had to try to explain it to me and has assured me that his presentation includes a whole litany of PowerPoints and documents and charts and all sorts of things like that. So if you really want some excitement, I'd encourage you to call him up. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, thanks so much. Anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Director Marvin, would you like to do a rebuttal?
I don't have too much to rebut here. The issue was brought up regarding notification and did we provide proper notification. We followed the state statute. I did visit with Mr. Austin, and he does agree that we did notify the parties. But the airport authority is not on our list of parties that need to be notified. particular case of blight, so we followed the state law. There's a kind of a quirk in that. And I did call the Lincoln Housing Authority and discuss that because I thought there might be some kind of concerns, because obviously that's a concern with neighbors that they don't like their neighborhood to be declared extremely blighted. And I didn't want the impression that we were thinking that the Lincoln Housing Authority wasn't maintaining their properties, and that's what's the cause of it. You know, it was really, again, as I've said when I started this off, was that our goal was to provide areas within extremely blighted areas the ability to get a $5,000 tax credit. That was our main goal in all of this. Obviously, at some point in the future, we would bring to this body redevelopment plans for these areas, in which case there would be opportunities for people to do redevelopment opportunities within there, which could access tax increment financing as well.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions for Director Marvin? Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to the next item, please.
Item 5E is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for June 1st through June 15th, 2021.
Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our voting session.
Item 5A is miscellaneous 21004, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Belmont Neighborhood Redevelopment Area generally located from Superior Street on the north, I-180 on the west, Sun Valley Boulevard and Cornhusker Highway on the south, and North 27th Street on the east as blighted and substandard, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call roll?
Raybold?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5B is miscellaneous 21005, application of the Urban Development Director to declare the Belmont area generally located at Superior Street on the north, I-180 on the west, south Sun Valley Boulevard and Cornhusker Highway on the south, and North 27th Street on the east as extremely blighted as set forth in the Extremely Blighted Determination Study for the City of Lincoln, Nebraska, dated January 2021. Introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call roll?
Washington?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5C is miscellaneous 21006, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the Northwest 48th Street redevelopment area generally bounded by Fletcher Avenue on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street on the east as blighted and substandard. Introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we, can I do that now?
We just need a second first.
Oh.
I'll do the second, and now we're done with that part.
Moved by Councilwoman Raybold, seconded by Councilman Shob. Open for discussion. Councilwoman Washington, you're recognized.
I move that we delay the vote on this for 1 week or one meeting until we have an opportunity to let the airport authority weigh in and we take a look at these maps and look at the Huskerville agreement and see what might need to happen.
Second that.
Moved by Councilwoman Washington, seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion on Councilwoman Washington's amendment? Councilman Shob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So since we have a holiday, that'll actually be 2 weeks of work, right? And are we gonna, I would like to have continued public hearing. Would that need a second motion?
So you would like to amend Councilwoman Washington's motion to amend to include public hearing?
I would take that as a friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment. Perfect.
And I concur.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Any further discussion on Councilwoman Washington's motion to amend until our next meeting, which will actually be in 2 weeks, to include public hearing? Any discussion?
No.
Okay, can we please have a roll call vote on Councilwoman Washington's motion?
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
And then on to the next item.
Item 5D is miscellaneous 21007, application of the Urban Development Director to declare the Northwest 48th Street area bounded by Fletcher Avenue on the north, Northwest 57th Street on the west, Holdridge Street on the south, and Northwest 48th Street on the east as extremely blighted, as set forth in the Extremely Blighted Determination Study for the City of Lincoln, Nebraska, dated January 2021, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob.
Your turn again.
Councilman Washington.
I would like to interject and ask that we delay this for 2 weeks, public hearing and a vote.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
No.
Councilman Shob?
I'm a little confused by what the boundary lines here, and so I welcome this opportunity to do some more homework myself and perhaps speak with the public and get a little bit more education about what actually is happening here.
And I also would like to see the maps and really get a better perspective of where is 9 Mile Prairie in relation to these parcels. So I think that would be very helpful to really appreciate what is before us.
If we wrap it up, I can drive out there tonight.
Councilwoman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to say that I really do appreciate the conservation values that the folks speaking on behalf of 9 Mile Prairie have brought up, and I think they're still valid, but I would like to have that conversation about which are the acres that they are really focused on, and how can we move forward with blight designation in areas where we really do need housing.
And I just have one more comment, just to thank Councilwoman Tammy Ward for really reaching out and getting more information and getting the ball rolling and trying to come up with good solutions on the best use of this land as well as conserving the land.
Hear, hear.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's vote on the motion to amend.
No. Motion to delay.
Motion right,
delay.
to delay.
You said amend.
Sorry,
You scared me a little. Yeah.
You're correct. Motion to delay.
Motion to delay with public hearing and action, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
2 weeks.
Correct.
Beckius.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5E is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for June 1st through June 15th, 2021, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold.
Yes.
Washington. Yes. Schob.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay, that ends our public hearing resolutions. We'll move to section 6, our public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. I'll be calling items 6A and 6B together. Item 6A is annexation 21002, application of Dominion South LLC to annex approximately 42.51 acres of property generally located at North 106th and O Streets, and the related change of zone 21017, application of Dominion South LLC to amend the zoning designation from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at North 106th and O Streets.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Eckert with Civil Design Group, 8535 Executive Woods Drive. Here today on behalf of Dominion South, which is the owner of a portion of the Dominion development. I'll put this exhibit up for you very quickly. There were 2 80-acre parcels that comprised Dominion, this parcel to the north, which we have fully annexed, changed zone, and in the last phase of. And then there was this 80 acres down here to the south, of which part of it was annexed to connect to the Waterford development. And so this item before you is to simply change the zone on this remaining portion of the property and to annex it as we progress back down towards O Street. It's generally at about 105th and East O Street. So be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions at this time? Councilwoman Washington?
I have no questions.
Oh, you have no questions. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, please.
Item 6C is change of zone 21015, application of Vermos Land Company LLC to amend the zoning designation from O3 Office Park District to B2 Planned Neighborhood Business District on property generally located at Highway 2 and Calvert Street.
Good evening, council members. Yes, my name is Mike Eckert with Civil Design Group, 8535 Executive Woods Drive, here today on behalf of Vermos Land Company and Gary Vermos. This is an area, I've got a couple of things to go through. I'll try to, this is a little hard to read, see with some of the, Gary did approach us back in January, actually, about the potential Piners Point Plaza. You guys might all be familiar with it, maybe driving by on Highway 2 here, just south of the post office. And he was in the midst of, like this, I don't know how many you may have had before you, with the changes in the pandemic and the way office environment is viewed, that he was losing a couple tenants and was unable to replace them in short order. And so we began discussions with the planning department about the ability to change this entire area, which includes this Stockwell office complex here on the east side of 13th Street, as well as the post office, to change it, the entire area from O3 to B2, to give them more flexibility in those office tenants that have left, that if there was anybody interested in retail component that could come into there. And so I think planning understood that with everything going on, and that may stay that way for some time, a reduction in need for office space, that it was an appropriate request, particularly given the exposure to a major arterial street, well, pinned between two arterial streets. And so their only request was that we change the zoning for the whole area. That was O3 to B2, so that we didn't have O3 and some B2 around it. And so in that process, the couple other things that are on the agenda here were some cleanup of the use permits. Particularly, there were some restrictions in the use permit for Gary's property that didn't allow retail uses. We had to clean that up. And on the Stockwell Association, I'll zoom in a little bit, they wanted to make sure that we got a provision in there that, and it's very hard to read here, but this is all R2. And so that use permit amendment said that the two office buildings right there, I'm sorry, it's almost unlegible, needed to remain office uses as long as there was a, this will show up better, as long as there was residential zoning across the street from them. So those two buildings right there, that use permit amendment said you have to stay in office use as long as there's R2 across the street from you. Although their zoning will change, that their particular use permit will have that restriction. So we met with those folks and integrated them into the discussion, and they were fully supportive. And so it's kind of taken us a while to get this before you for various reasons. Learning we had to clean up those use permits in the interim also. But so all three of those items are before you. All the owners are supportive, and we hope we have your support too to give these landowners a little more flexibility with their properties and what they can lease them out for. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Councilwoman Washington?
Mr. Eckert, I do have one question. In the area that you were just showing us, where you were talking about the two office buildings next door to R2?
Yes.
In the map that doesn't have the photograph, which I can't, I read this one a little bit better, it looks like there's three office buildings. So is, what is that
So that's only because this B1 zoning right here comes down to encompass this building. So this building is across from B1.
Got it.
Right. And then the
All right.
R2 zoning actually starts on that line right there.
So you're looking at the middle building and the lowest.
And the south building.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Sorry, that zoning line wasn't clear.
That's all right. We'll all get our eyesight
Yes.
fixed. So.
Any further questions? Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, please.
Item 6D is change of zone 21016, application of Tagle Hill LLC from R1 Residential District to H4 General Commercial District on property generally located at South 70th Street and Pine Lake Road.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, please.
I will call items 6E and 6F together. Change of zone 21018, application of 4731 West O LLC to amend the zoning designation from AG Agriculture District to H4 Highway Commercial District on property generally located at 4731 West O, and the related conditional zoning agreement between the city and 4731 West O LLC for property generally located at 4731 West O Street.
Hello, my name is Tim Gergen. I work with Clark and Anderson at 1010 Lincoln Mall, Suite 200. I am here representing the developer of this property. We are here to change the zone on property that has great infrastructure nearby it and is ready to be developed. It is just east of the new Shoemaker truck stop. We have an existing traffic signal at the location of 48th and West O Street. This property is here before you to change the zone from Ag to H4. It's already annexed into the city of Lincoln. Here's a little bit better picture of it. We are working through a preliminary plat that will be submitted to the city of Lincoln in conjunction with this change of zone. You can see that the existing zoning around this property, the purple represents the highway commercial. This is what we are seeking, is a highway commercial zoning. We have a user ready to go. It's a more of a telecommunication company, but we are looking for other users on this property. It'll be more slated towards contractor services, kind of match the existing profile of the West O Street. The zoning agreement is approved by the owner. We will be submitting that into the City of Lincoln Planning Department later this week. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item?
Terry Pope Gonzalez, 349 South First Street, zoned residential. Now understand, where it says approving a conditional zoning agreement between the city, if you don't do the oversight, like did not happen over in my area, okay? We're even the oldest historic site. Wow, huh? But see, if you don't do your due diligence, is that the right words? Now remember, I talk to 2- and 3-year-olds, okay? So when I get sequestered, okay, how many times have I been sequestered in the last 20 years? Do you have any idea? Why don't you? Huh. Now, so listen, at one time, 349 South First Street, it was the end of town. And you know what they wanted to put behind in 1983? They wanted to put the People's City Mission there. Wow. So if you see my bruises, I have to deal with tweaks coming from the People's City Mission, going through that tunnel. Huh. So just be careful, because see, when you do the conditional zoning agreement, what happens if you don't do the, what's the right word? Due diligence? Okay. Now, I talk to 2- and 3-year-olds, okay? So we don't use those kind of words. Can you imagine they're watching the city council, though? The lady without the hair, they watch her. They really like her, okay? Now, do they care about her color? No, they don't. They're 2, 3, and 4 years old, okay? So if you do not have due diligence, right, that's the word? Okay, and if you do not, what? Keep things under control, what happens? Yeah, a concrete company with no buffer. You know what our buffer was? A chain link fence. Yeah, and this one here, in 2015, when she could have done something about it and she didn't. So then she moved them closer. Instead of 50 feet, 7 feet. Like I said, my dog just got hurt. See, when I stud him, I get $10,000, and he'll be 11 August 3rd, and he's hurt. And my vet, she charges $150 an hour. Wow. I wonder what you guys are going to do with that bill, right? Because this is how it works. I put invoices in. Yeah, right, Raybold? $700,000 for how many days? When did I do that? 2015? Did you think I was playing? See, I don't internet. But I put invoices in, didn't I? I even put them in. See, now that's not Jeff Kirkpatrick, is it? How do I know? And I haven't met you, but Jeff Kirkpatrick's what? White? Is this man white? I don't know. And I'm not disrespecting you, I don't mean to. Do you know what it cost me to get your tan? So listen, when I say you people, it has to do with bureaucrats, okay? So now you, if you can handle me, you can handle senators, okay? Because that's what you want to be, right? Legislature, right? Now shake your head, yes or no? Because see, everybody's watching. I'm all over the internet. Oh, do I care? Not so much, okay? So you have to, if here, approving a conditional zoning agreement. Really? 2018, Detective Chad Barrett, badge number 1101, hand delivered to me. What? Guys have any idea? A promise. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, still hasn't been done. Wow. A promise made by who? She was on the council. You guys weren't. What's happened to it? Well, that's right. We got a new mayor. Wow. She was on the city council too. Wow. She spent 20 minutes in our neighborhood. When I went in front of planning commission, I was in a wheelchair. But I guess it's all about the money, right? Now listen, I can come here and I can talk all day long. Like I said, I don't need any of you, but you need us. And I can get everybody wound tight. I've been doing that. How come? Because we finally got good moral compass. Thank you. Is my time up?
You still have a few more minutes.
Really? Do you know what I can do? Huh. Now listen, I don't have time to keep after you, okay? Like I said, if you're going to do this, somebody pay attention to that conditional zoning agreement. Because I've been, my first complaint, written complaint, was 1997. My governor complaint was 1999. And we're what, 2021? Now, listen, because I'm still going to talk, right? So thank you much for your time. And I don't know how to say, because I can't hardly see you guys, okay? So it's like, Tom, Beckius, Planning Department, 30 years. This one. James Michael Bowers. Is it Bernie or Benny?
Benny.
Benny, like Benny and the Jet.
Yes.
Okay. And Sandra with the snake bites, right? Okay. Sandra Washington, okay? Now me, I'm called what?
Terry.
No, I'm called Mama T.
Okay.
Called the Battle Axe, okay? Called the Coach.
I'll stick with Terry.
Okay, you can do whatever. And please don't call me Mrs. Pope. I was never Mrs. Pope. I was Nikki's mom. A judge gave me the name Pope because I was married to some ugly people. Now this man is a veteran in distress, and somebody somewhere is going to take care of it. Okay? Now, I really appreciate you guys. Now, you want to be senator or legislature? Is it the same?
Well, there's a state legislature. It's one
Okay,
house.
that's what you want to be? Dumping ship from here, right?
Anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to
Can we hold on for just 1 second?
Oh, sorry.
I think Director Carey would like to speak.
Thank you, David Carey, 555 South 10th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. Point of clarification here on the item for the change of zone 21016, which is the Tagle Hill item. So we had the hearing on the change of zone just now. The intention was to hold over that public hearing to the next meeting, which is when the appeal of the use permit will be able to catch up to the change of zone on this item. So it's more of a scheduling thing here. So I think what we want to do is make sure we merge those together. So if we could be clear that we would have that public hearing stay open to the future meeting.
We're not voting on 6D now, but we need a motion to continue public hearing to our next meeting.
For clarity, I would like to do that, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you weren't going to vote on it tonight anyways.
But just keep the public hearing open.
Correct.
I would ask for that motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we continue item 6D to our next scheduled meeting with public hearing.
Second, Beckius.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote on that, please.
Raybold?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, that ends the public hearing, and then we'll move on to section 7.
Item 7A is approving an agreement for tower space and appurtenances between the city and New Singular Wireless PC LLC to occupy and use certain city-owned parcel of real property and tower generally located at 2201 South 84th Street, introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion?
Yes, Council Chair, we have a motion to amend that was being offered by Councilman McGinnis, and it's here on our desk, and I would motion that amendment.
Second that.
Moved and
Sorry.
seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Councilman Shope?
So this was been kind of lingering out there for a bit, and there's a little synopsis at the bottom. So this, is that,
I didn't get
Mr. Christie, could you help me with that? I'm sorry, I'm a little. I know that we.
Mr. Christie, City Attorney, I'll do my best.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. I know Mr. C came up a couple times. We did ask a few questions. The motion to amend has a nice little summary at the bottom, reason for request.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just, is this a good summary at the bottom? We're replacing just a language about right of first refusal?
Correct. I don't actually have it in front of me, but correct. My understanding is before it was the right of refusal was in there, and now we have taken it out with respect to the purchase of the property only. And that should be what?
Because this was a lease agreement.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so
I believe if the city decides to sell, that the first right of refusal to AT&T is offered first. They have the first option.
And this amendment strikes that first right.
I believe it puts it into.
So if I may, I think that the.
Yes, please.
I think that the previous agreement had, the way that I'm going to explain it, right of refusal kind of for both scenarios, the sale of the property and then the license. Now, the right of refusal for the sale of the property has gone away.
Right.
But the right of refusal for the license remains.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot. That,
That's how I understood it to be.
Yes.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Councilman Raybold?
Well, did we make a motion to approve the amendment?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, was second?
I offered it on behalf of Mr. McGinnis.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's vote on the motion to amend.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
And now on the main motion?
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7B is approving the Meadow Lane Shopping Center redevelopment project agreement between Hampton Enterprises, Inc. and the city relating to the redevelopment of property generally located at the northeast corner of 17th and Vine Streets, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7C is amending the fiscal year 2020-2021 CIP to authorize and appropriate $312,170 TIP funds for the Meadow Lane Shopping Center redevelopment project, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call?
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 70 is authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the Meadow Lane Shopping Center redevelopment project in the amount not to exceed $312,170, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7E is approving the 2 Landmark Center redevelopment agreement between NEPCO Inc. and the city relating to the redevelopment of property generally located at 1111 Lincoln Mall, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob. Any discussion? Councilwoman Raybold.
I'd like to introduce the motion to amend number 1, which is replacing the resolution introduced on June 14th, 2021 with a substitute resolution attached here too.
Is there a second?
Second.
And it's to really correct and clarify location of project in text of resolution.
Any discussion? Okay.
Thank you.
Seeing none, may we please vote on the motion to amend?
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
And now on the main motion.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7F is amending the fiscal year 2020-2021 CIP to authorize and appropriate $3,500,000 in TIF funds for the 2 Landmark Center redevelopment project, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Shob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call vote?
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7G is authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the 2 Landmark Center redevelopment project in an amount not to exceed $3,500,000, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll call?
Washington,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Resolutions first readings are items 8A through 8E. Ordinance's first reading is item 9A. Item 10, pending lists are items 10A through 10C.
We are now going to move into the public comment section of tonight's meeting. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not planned to appear on a future agenda may do so tonight. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of the number of topics. Please state your name and address. And for the month of June, tonight's open microphone session will be the last meeting of the month, which is now. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council?
I do. I'm not politically correct. I don't have time. Terry Pope Gonzalez, 349 South First Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. You want a phone number? No, I've got 25 of them, but here, let's do 402-310-8311. I want to stick up for that man right back there. Assistant Chief of Police, Brian Jackson. How long have we been dealing with each other? Long time. I got here in 1996. Started complaining about that city mission. What, second day I was here? Right? Now, I do not believe that he did sexual harassment on anybody. And this is why. I have massive boobs, and check out the butt. And he's never once been out of line with me, not one time. And have we been together alone? A couple times, right? I think so. He has never once, he has not said, oh, you have massive boobs. Oh, you have massive butt. He's never done that. So I want to stick up for him because I don't think he did it, okay? Now, here, I'm going to tell you why I'm so angry. Okay, you did a resolution about words, right? In November, I got called a nigger. Can you believe that? Huh, and guess what? The person who did it tore my shirt, which, okay, when the police department came, they couldn't do anything about it because I'm not black. Now, excuse me? Now, nigger comes from the word niggard, N-I-G-G-A-R-D, and it means ignorant, okay? Now, I'm not about these name calling. I'm really not, all right? And now here, do you see them bruised? Oh yeah, we got to deal with tweaks coming from the People's City Mission. How many times have the cops been to my house in the last, 2 weeks? Check, okay? So did they do their jobs well? What they could, right? Did I have to beat the piss out of the tweak? Yes, I did, because she was beating up the grandmas. Now, I don't like that. I'm an old woman. Now listen, but I don't want my area to be messed with anymore. That concrete company, which is now owned by NEPCO, all NEPCO means to me, they have more to lose than I do. That's all they mean to me. I don't give a blankety blank blank blank. That is Jim Abel, okay? Now, my dog's name is Sir Al Capone. When you Google him, Billy Badass. These cops can't even come in my yard, okay? Because I have a working canine. Do you understand what that means? Okay? Now, if you Google, okay, you can check this all out. Now, I'm about the grandmas and the little kids. Now, here, how many times, when's the last time, what do you guys know about the city mission? Do you know it's a halfway house for child molesters? And they come past my house how many times? And they come past what? Because they've got to go through what? Child molester paradise, through the tunnel. Well, the train man, is he the one holding the liability? Because see, I will be checking in with him, won't I? Yes, I will. And yes, they're changing the trains for me. Yes, they are. Because see, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna own everybody before I'm done. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what you do with your crotch. I don't need to know what you do with your crotch, okay? Now, I called in Denver Police Department for you. His name is Rich Blaya. I haven't seen him in 30 years. We did the DARE program together. I was way skinnier back then, still the same boobs, okay, but skinnier. Now, he has a wife of 35 years. He does Blaya's Academy. Now, I do not know why you do not do the DARE program. Now, at home, and home is Denver, Colorado, okay? Now, I'm also Trailer Park Trash. That's Wiki Up Trailer Park, Commerce City, Colorado, 80022. Commerce City Police Department, Detective Sergeant Chris Solano, okay? Now, did he retire? Well, he's out of retirement, because guess what, okay? I run the RICO Act, and I've been running it on your town. I run it on every person, every company, everything. How come? Only thing I found about these two over here, they have good moral compass. You tried to stand up to me, so I'm a little impressed with you, okay? I haven't dealt with you ever, have I? Because I usually deal with that Steve. He was the boss over planning, right? That's my deal. Say 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Okay. Now, like I said, I'm gonna stick up for that man back there, Assistant Chief of Police. Oh, before I'm done, and Captain Janelle Moore. I come across the tapes, December 2008. She said she'd make sure that road was shut down. It's 2021. It's not shut down. It was never supposed to be a road. Huh? Was I the wrong color? Somebody tell me. Now, her and I are the same token. My boobs are bigger. Now, what's the problem? Now, I'm tired of the discrimination. Now, before I pass out, I'm going to leave because this little boy wants to talk. Now, when I say boy, it has nothing to do with your color, okay? Now, do not say you got my boy hanging. Don't say that to me. Okay, my brothers say that to me. They have black jackets, okay? And they will be here. They are called Mongols, and they're not Down syndrome, okay? They're in North Platte, Nebraska, going to a funeral of Grandpa Allen. But they can be here. And that little senator, Matt Hansen, I've got to go. See you guys. Like I said, I'm standing up for that man. Little boy, it's your turn.
If you would please state your name and address, please.
Jimmy Light. You know what it is.
Fighting the good fight.
That's right. Well, I like her fire. I like, the city. It's awesome. I don't believe, I think I'm paraphrasing here, but, I don't believe in one supremacy being greater than another, regardless of what that is. I feel like we have this bureaucratic machine that likes to suck the color out of everything. White and black are the same thing. They're color. We're all part of the human race. I want to talk about the water. We have a chemical in our water called atrazine, and over this last, COVID years, we've had a lot of our culture, we can't seem to agree on the science or the method of how to apply science or, the scientific method to things. But one of the early things you learn, or I learned in the public school system, was applying the scientific method. I think it was like 7th grade. And you have a control. And a control is like say you have 3 plants, you give one plant water, you give another plant microwaved water, and you give another plant coffee or pop. You know, your control is the one you don't mess with. And you change one variable at a time to figure out the science behind of what is affecting the plant and how it grows. Mr. Tyrone Hayes is a suppressed scientist. He's one of my heroes, and he kind of brought this to the light. Atrazine is a herbicidal runoff that turns amphibians gay or that changes their genitalia. And I don't have a problem with LGBTQ+. You know, I got many gay friends. But what I do got a problem with is that big business moving in here, dumping harmful chemicals upon our sacred land. And I feel like the science behind that is we don't have a control. What can we say is natural if it's in all our drinking water and we haven't, children are being raised with this safe levels? I believe safe levels is some political BS. There should be, don't make it. Don't bring in a factory that's just has safe levels. No levels is safe levels to me, especially when it comes to our water. And that's all I have today. I'm pretty sure. But thank you. And the word nigger came from black, because once upon a time we were all negas. We were all Pangea and dark-skinned. And it was a word for king or royalty. Nagas, Nagusa Nagas, Haile Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Thank you. So black means king, and it's royal. And that word that came back, it's funny, because I remember when, it meaning king, when it was used in that hateful, sort of spiteful way, it's the same as posting IRNI above someone who was crucified publicly a long time ago, whether you believe it or not. But it's the same concept. Thank you. That's all I got.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council at this time? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Moved by Councilwoman Raybould, seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please do a roll?
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybould?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes, we stand adjourned.